Lena Baker spent less than a year on death row before Georgia put her in the electric chair. She was the only woman the state ever executed this way. Her crime? Killing the man who kept her prisoner. But to understand how a black mother became the first woman Georgia sent to Old Sparky, we have to go back to the beginning. In a time when your skin color decided if people saw you as a victim or a criminal. Smash that like button and subscribe to join our growing community. Also, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from as we jump into this shocking story. Lena Baker was born in 1900 in Cuthbert, Georgia, a tiny town in the middle of Randolph County where cotton fields went on forever. She entered a world that ended slavery 35 years earlier, but you wouldn't know it by looking. The South just found new ways to control black people, and Lena's family felt it every day. Her parents were sharecroppers, working white men's land from dawn to dusk, only to give most of the crop to the owner. The Bakers lived in a wooden shack that let icy winds blow through in winter and baked like an oven in summer. Lena was one of 3 kids, and all of them learned young that their hands were for labor, not for hoping. There was no real school for Lena. Black kids in Randolph County got a few months of classes each year at best, because the fields needed them more. Lena learned just enough reading to spot signs and scribble her name. But her true lessons came from her mother's hunched shoulders and her father's tired stare. She figured out fast that being black in Georgia meant polite, yes, sir, and no, ma'am, to white people, even kids younger than her. Justice? It wore 2 faces, one for each skin color. As a teen, Lena saw her path clear. Marry early, grind hard, and fight to stay alive. She did just that, tied the knot young, but the husband vanished, leaving her solo with 3 hungry mouths. In the 1920s, a black single mom in backwoods Georgia had less say than a mouse in a cat-filled barn. Lena hustled every job, scrubbing white homes, laundering their shirts, harvesting their fields. Her palms turned leathery, her spine screamed, but she pushed on. Those kids had to eat. Years blurred into tougher years, carving deeper wrinkles and sharper pains. By her 40s, Lena Baker carried the weight of a life that aged you double quick. Then came Ernest Knight, a white man, which in 1940s Georgia handed him total control over her world. In his 60s, a big name in Cuthbert from an old slave-owning clan. When Lena met him, Knight's body was breaking down. A stroke or sickness had hit hard, leaving him helpless with everyday chores. That's when Lena stepped in. She got hired to look after him, cook his food, scrub his floors, help him shuffle around. At first, it felt like any other gig, just another white man's house to keep in order. But Ernest Knight had twisted plans for what Lena owed him. The job quickly turned ugly and evil. He didn't want to help her. He wanted total ownership of her body and every breath she took. He started forcing her to stay at his rundown mill house on the edge of town. It began with overnight care, when he swore he needed eyes on him all night. Then nights stretched into days. Then it became full-on captivity and rape. Knight attacked Lena sexually again and again. He kept her chained inside that mill house, treating her like a secret sex slave while pretending she was just the hired help. This was no love story. This was a white man weaponizing his power to savage a black woman who had 0 rights, 0 say, and 0 escape. He raped her over and over, and if she fought or tried to bolt, he promised beatings or jail. Lena was locked in a living hell. Knight refused to let her go. He bolted the doors, caging her so the assaults could keep coming. And the sickest twist? The whole town seemed to know, yet no one lifted a finger. Ernest Knight was white. Lena Baker was black. In 1940s Georgia, that math never changed. Her family panicked. Her son would hunt for her, only to get chased off the property. Her friends asked questions and caught hushed rumors about how Knight had that Baker woman trapped in his mill house. Some spread the nasty lie that she stayed for an affair with the old white guy, a cruel cover-up that buried the truth of rape and chains. Others saw the horror but zipped their lips, because challenging a white man could mean a black person's grave. For months, the horror of rape and chains dragged on. Lena tried to escape, but Knight snarled threats every time. He kept guns and pipes close, ready to swing. Sure, he was old and frail, but his white skin gave him king-like power in Georgia, and he swung it like a club. Then April 29, 1944, exploded everything. That morning, Lena planted her feet and said, "I'm done. I'm leaving." Knight lost his mind. He snatched an iron bar and swore he'd end her. When his hand lunged for the pistol, Lena snapped into survival mode. They wrestled wild. The gun boomed. The bullet slammed into Knight's chest. He crumpled, blood pooling fast. Lena stood frozen, hands trembling, heart pounding. She never wanted him dead. She just wanted to live. But in Georgia, a black woman dropping a white man was never self-defense. It was cold-blooded murder, full stop. Lena didn't bolt. She yelled for help, flagged down the law, and spilled the truth. Knight got shot. Cops stormed in, found him gasping. He died minutes later. Cuffs slapped on Lena instantly. Charge, murder. Trial day hit 4 months later, August 14th, 1944. One single day. Jury, 12 white men. Judge, William Tug Worrell. Her lawyer, thrown in by the court, barely lifted a finger. Lena took the stand, voice shaking but strong. He raped me, locked me up, came at me with that gun. I fought for my life. Prosecutors laughed it off as a jealous girlfriend's tantrum. Jury talked less than an hour. Verdict, guilty. Sentence, Fry? Lena Baker got the electric chair. She spent just 11 days on death row before they hauled her to Georgia State Prison in Reidsville. On August 25, 1944, they strapped Lena into the chair and flipped the switch. Witnesses said she stayed cool and proud, chin up even as the straps bit in. Her last words rang clear. What I did to save my own life, or he would have killed me. Where I was, I had no way out. God has forgiven me. I hold no hate for anyone. I'm ready to meet my God. At 11:13 a.m., the doctor called it. Lena Baker, dead at 44, fried for fighting to breathe. For years, Georgia shrugged and forgot her. Her name vanished into the dark corners of dusty files. Just another black life crushed under Jim Crow's boot. But her kids never forgot. They grew up motherless, hearts scarred by the lie that she was a killer instead of a captive begging for mercy. Then, in the 1990s, curious historians cracked open yellowed records and gasped. The trial was a joke. One day, all-white jury, zero real proof of murder. The truth screamed. Lena Baker never should have died. In 2005, 61 years too late, the Georgia Board of Pardons and Paroles handed down a full pardon from the grave. They admitted she acted in self-defense and the state had robbed her of justice. At the ceremony, Lena's great-niece Laverne Gibbons faced the flashing cameras, tears streaming. "We can't bring Aunt Lena back," she choked out. But now the world knows she wasn't a murderer. She was a woman who just wanted to live. Today, a bronze marker stands tall in Cuthbert, Georgia, steps from where Lena took her first breath and her last stand. The plaque lays it bare. Poverty, chains, rape, courage, and a court that looked the other way. Visitors still pause, lay flowers, and leave quiet notes. Some leave whispered prayers. Others leave long overdue apologies. Lena Baker's story exploded into documentaries, books, and a heart-wrenching 2008 movie called The Lena Baker Story that flashed her pain across the world. The film painted her not as a criminal, but as a fighter clawing for air in a world where her black skin and womanhood doomed her before the gun ever fired. Her death screams louder than one life. It echoes the thousands of black women and men crushed by a machine built on hate and lies. Lena's fight reminds us of every voice the system gagged, and the raw guts it takes to swing back when swinging means losing it all. So tell me straight, was Lena Baker a killer or a survivor flattened by a world blind to her soul? Smash your answer in the comments. And hit subscribe for more buried truths history tried to erase.